Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Siheyuan. Stir-fry Bai Ling, crazy seeking roundhouse. Crossing the world of courtyards filled with birds, she became the husband of police chief Bai Ling, whom everyone envied. Bai Ling has her own white moonlight, so she doesn't want to reunite with Shen Fei. Shen Fei couldn't bear it at all. If Bai Ling wasn't satisfied, she would stir-fry. And Shen Fei also chose to divorce, but Bai Ling disagreed. What you don't want is what you do. Qin Huairu. Director Bai, listen to my explanation. Xu Huizhen. Shen Fei, could you please be gentle? Chen Lixia. You stand and I kneel down. Lu Xiaoe. Shen Fei, please don't. Shen Fei gained omnipotence through this reward, and his carefree life began from then on. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001, a cowardly man, if he doesn't make a living, then he will be strong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 49 Cities, South Goyuo Lane. The setting sun shone on the bustling street, and Bai Ling lazily declined a vendor recommended to her. Miss Bai has returned. Jia Zhang, who was chatting outside the courtyard, saw Bai Ling and her eyes flickered before revealing a fake smile. She greeted Bai Ling. Bai Ling smiled and greeted the neighbors. Such a beautiful person, let Shen Fei, that street bumpkin, marry him. It's so naive that he doesn't have eyes. Jia Zhang looked at Bai Ling's back, her jealous eyes almost spewing fire. You said Bai Ling Tang is the director of the 49th City Public Security Bureau. Who does she want to marry? Unfortunately, she married Shen Fei, a street skater recognized by the quadrangle courtyard. If it were their Jia family's daughter.In.Law, that would be great. Shen Fei was able to marry Bai Ling because that kid climbed a high pole and couldn't envy her. Oh, what's so enviable about that? Look, Su Damao also married our factory director's daughter. Jia Zhang, your son is foolish. Look at Bai Ling or Lu Xiaoe, they are all first class in terms of family background and appearance. They were married by your Sudong family. Upon hearing these words, Jia Zhang gave a fierce glare. Shen Fei, I'm back. Help me get some foot wash, I'm exhausted. As soon as she entered the door, Bai Ling casually threw the bag in her hand, untied her coat, and casually instructed Shen Fei, who was sitting in the living room reading. By the way, I had dinner tonight. Bai Ling. Shen Fei put down the book in his hand and looked at Bai Ling with some disgust. Under the coat, Linglong's good figure had no attraction to Shen Fei at all. Last night, Bai Ling stayed up late and cooked a can of beef herself, which had a huge impact on Shen Fei, who had been married for 3 years. Let Shen Fei, who was already suffering from heart problems, go directly, which allowed him to cross over. Ding! Host daughter.In.Law Bai Ling has been detected, and the Duozi Duofu system has been activated. It's a great shame to have been married for 3 years yet to have a successful marriage, system task. Round up with Bai Ling before tomorrow night. The sudden mechanical sound in his mind froze Shen Fei. Divorce, these 3 words are stuck on my lips. Damn it. What task is this? Shen Fei is completely numb. Bai Ling, let's get divorced. Shen Fei paused and his face calmed down. When he crossed over in the morning, Shen Fei's predecessor was completely cold. If Shen Fei didn't cross over, wouldn't he just give Bai Ling a room? You don't even need to divorce when you get married, just let Zheng Chaoyang move in directly. Thinking of this, Shen Fei's tone suddenly became cold. What are you saying? Say it again. Bai Ling, who was hanging her coat, suddenly froze and looked at Shen Fei with sharp eyes. She never thought that Shen Fei, who had always been obedient to her, could say such a thing. I said, let's get divorced. Shen Fei met Bai Ling's gaze and met her without fear. In the past 3 years, my predecessor has never looked at Bai Ling, nor even held hands with her since Shen Fei has taken over the original body now. He is fearless. I disagree. Shen Fei, please stop making trouble. Bai Ling hung up her coat, changed into cotton slippers, and walked to the stove, extending her tender white hands. I couldn't help but ponder. As usual, Shen Fei could be said to be obedient to her, whatever she said. I didn't make a fuss. I have already written the divorce application, just sign it. Shen Fei sneered and pointed to the divorce agreement placed on the table. The system just said they want to reconcile with Bai Ling, but it's not that they won't divorce him. Can't we reconcile after divorce? Besides, as long as Bai Ling signs this divorce agreement, from now on, it will be like letting birds fly in the sky and fish swim in the sea. If it's a big deal, marry a little cutie again and come back to love her well. He didn't believe in the system and let him hang on Bai Ling's crooked neck. It's not right. To be fair, Bai Ling's appearance is still very impressive. In this era, there are really few beauties that can compare to Bai Ling. Forget it, I don't want to. What? I don't agree. Bai Ling suddenly became confused. Why is Shen Fei even ready to apply for divorce? Did it really stimulate him last night? It's impossible. She has never done anything wrong to Shen Fei. Pick up the divorce application on the table and take a quick look at it. We've been getting along pretty well these past few years, haven't we? Why did we get divorced? Bai Ling's face turned pale as she looked at Shen Fei, forcefully tearing the divorce application in half and throwing it into the fireplace. The anger in his eyes was almost uncontrollable, and he loudly questioned Shen Fei. Oh, we get along well. Do you think we're good? We've been married for 3 years, right? I haven't even touched a finger with you. Why do you think we're getting along well? Originally, my predecessor thought it was nothing. Shen Fei, who has watched glorious times, knows that Bai Ling has never forgotten her old friend in her heart. Well, last night I learned that Zheng Chaoyang was on a business trip to 49 cities and stayed by the fireplace all night cooking beef. Even the treatment that his husband has never enjoyed, let an outsider enjoy it. Uncle can bear it, Shen Fei can't bear it any longer. Why don't you get married? Married, yet still pretending to be someone else in my heart. If it weren't for Shen Fei's visit to the Public Security Bureau today, he wouldn't have thought that Bai Ling, who has always prioritized work, would have taken a leave to meet her old friend. I didn't tell you. I'm not ready. Wait for me, get ready. Bai Ling panicked and explained. She really didn't want Shen Fei to think that going out to meet old friends was something shameful. Just reminiscing about the past, how could it escalate to the point of divorce? All right. Keep it for your old lover. After signing this, we're both free. I'll continue living my single life. After all these years, you've been different from me. As for you, go find your old lover and reconcile. Shen Fei looked at Bai Ling impatiently. He is not afraid of Bai Ling's signature now. Divorce in this era can be said to be a big deal, and even for some people, it is a stain. He is indifferent to being a commoner. It's hard to say about the impressive director Bai. However, if Bai Ling really signs, it will be difficult to complete his task. I don't agree. Bai Ling reiterated her position once again. Sure enough, with a lively mind, he ran to see Zheng Chaoyang and caused trouble. But it's not her fault. Old Zheng only returned to 49 cities once every few years. Can't she go see her old friends? Shen Fei, who has always been honest and steady, why did he make such a fuss? I don't understand her either. If you really get divorced, your promotion next month will definitely be out of the question, and you may even be stuck in the same place in the future without any chance of improvement. It's really scary. Bai Ling took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. You tell me, what do you want to do? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 002, lifting your pants doesn't recognize anyone, you have to leave Bai Ling. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. I just want to get divorced. I said, I don't agree. If you have any other requirements, just raise them. Bai Ling glared fiercely at Shen Fei. What kind of nerve is this man getting? He has been married for 3 years and has never made any excessive demands. She never thought that Shen Fei would make such an outrageous request for divorce. By the way, don't go too far. Bai Ling breathed a sigh of relief as she looked at the burnt divorce application. Either settle down or divorce. We've been married for 3 years, so you have to fulfill your wife's obligations, right? Shen Fei remained silent for a while before speaking. I've been licking it for 3 years, what if my dream comes true? Besides, he dare not gamble on whether the system will be punished or not. Impossible. I'm not ready yet, Shen Fei, wait for me to prepare, don't worry. Upon hearing this, Bai Ling instinctively began to refute. It's impossible to blurt it out, and then realize that you seem to have said something wrong. After all, Shen Fei is her husband. Bai Ling panicked and explained. Impossible. Oh, since you're not getting married to me, are you planning to give it to your old lover Zheng Chaoyang? Shen Fei was really angry and laughed at by this foolish woman. But that's okay. Anyway, now that everyone has spoken up, it's good to gather and disperse, and it's not bad either. He is Shen Fei, possessing knowledge from the 21st century. Even a little experience leaked from his fingers is enough for others to struggle for a lifetime. A Bai Ling, he still doesn't take it seriously. You. If you slander me again, I'll take you back to the bureau now. Stimulated by Shen Fei, Bai Ling's face turned red and she looked like an angry female tiger. Take out the handcuffs and slap them hard on the table. If his gaze could kill someone, Shen Fei might have been pierced by 10,000 arrows long ago. Yo, it seems that you really have this plan, then divorce. Shen Fei ignored Bai Ling's angry gaze. It seems that Zheng Chaoyang is really extraordinary in her heart. However, as long as she hasn't divorced for a day, Bai Ling's man can only be Shen Fei. Breathing. I'm not ready yet. Bai Ling extended her trembling hands several times, wanting to throw it at Shen Fei's despicable face, but she couldn't bear to do so. When I got married to Shen Fei, I only wanted him to be handsome and obedient to me. But what's going on now? Bai Ling is still a bit confused until now. Okay, I got it. Shen Fei calmly responded and locked the door in front of Bai Ling's bewildered gaze. Ah! What are you doing? Let me down. Bai Ling exclaimed in surprise, leaving her whole body on the ground and being held by a princess named Shen Fei. That's Bai Ling's family, right? What happened? What else can there be? It's just that little thing. Young people nowadays are really open. The sky was dim, and the people who were originally noisy in the courtyard gradually quieted down, looking at each other. Isn't that too much? Dishonest and vulgar. It's really vulgar. It's not dark yet. Why is Bai Ling and his wife so absurd? Even the pretty widow Qin Huairu, who passed by, had a layer of pink on her face. Shen Fei leaned against the bedside, lit a cigarette, and looked at Bai Ling, who was sleeping soundly in his arms with some contentment. I never expected that Bai Ling would be even crazier than him. Ding. Detected that the host has completed the task. Reward. Beginner level Wing Chun fist. Pain. It hurts so much. At the moment Shen Fei received it, a lot of knowledge about Wing Chun Quan flooded his mind. A warm current kept flowing throughout Shen Fei's body, and with over a decade of martial arts experience, it was all stuffed into his body in just a few minutes. Enduring the soreness all over his body, he slowly got out of bed and experimented with the boxing technique he had just learned in the living room. Strong. Shen Fei felt like he could punch a cow to death. However, as someone who is familiar with novels, he also knows that the present is just his own illusion. How to say the entry-level Wing Chun Quan. From his memory, he has been practicing it for over a decade, so using it to hit someone should be quite painful. After practicing several times, Shen Fei finally noticed that he had a faint appearance of abdominal muscles on his body. I didn't expect that warm current to strengthen my body. That's really great. Before crossing the border, he was just a social animal in the Jiujiu Lu Fu Bao, so he didn't have much time to exercise his body. Shen Fei, covered in a foul sweat, happily scrubbed in the kitchen and gazed brightly at Bai Ling, who was sleeping soundly. Shen Fei still walked lightly and got onto the bed he hadn't climbed up in 3 years. Don't make a fuss. I hurt. Bai Ling instinctively withdrew to the other side of the bed. Forget it, I'll let you go. There was nothing to say all night, just as Shen Fei was in his dream, killing all directions. I'm going to shark you. Suddenly startled, Bai Ling was suppressed by her backhand. You. Shen Fei put on his clothes with a clear mind, and then admired Bai Ling's flustered tidying up. Let me tell you, Shen Fei, we're not finished with this matter. Bai Ling put on her clothes in a disheveled state, pursed her hair full of sweat. Not finished. Shen Fei then thought of making breakfast, paused, and turned back. You. Don't come over. Bai Ling was so scared that she hugged her clothes in front of her and squatted by the bed. I've given you everything, what else do you want? The more she spoke, the more angry she became, and tears flowed down her pretty face without hesitation. All right, we'll have breakfast later. Let's go get married. Shen Fei immediately lost interest when he saw Bai Ling's pitiful appearance. Yesterday was just a collection of interest, and Bai Ling had someone else in her heart. How could she feel embarrassed to continue occupying it? You. Bastard. Bai Ling was suddenly stunned by Shen Fei's decision to divorce. Yesterday, I forcibly did something to her. This is not, isn't it, that lifting pants doesn't recognize people. Absolutely, it's not even as good as animals. As she watched Shen Fei leave, Bai Ling muttered in the most malicious words she could think of. After putting on his clothes, he limped out of the house. The morning in the courtyard was incredibly lively, but today was particularly lively. Yo ho, this morning, I don't know how to respect the elderly and love the young. Even if we tossed and turned until midnight last night, it's okay. It's only a few o'clock now, come again. Young people have good energy. Look at them, then look at you, useless things. I can compare myself to a strong young man in his 20s. As soon as Bai Ling left, her face immediately turned red. Why are there so many people at their doorstep? It's all Shen Fei's fault, as they all said, she wasn't ready, so she forced herself. Take a look, it's okay now. My neighbors have all come knocking on my door. Bai Ling felt that if there was a crack on the ground now, she could just crawl in. Miss Bai, can you keep your voice down while you're tinkering? That's it. My roof is almost flipped over. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 003, Shen Fei's verbal battle with everyone, Bai Ling felt ashamed and angry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I heard from Miss Bai last night that you were not very happy. Why don't you arrest Shen Fei? That's it. We're not used to him. If Miss Bai feels wronged, just speak up and everyone will help you deal with him together. Originally, they were just discussing the issue of disturbing the people last night, but suddenly an disharmonious voice made Bai Ling's face suddenly change. Nonsense. I'm definitely not happy about it. Can after all, she and Shen Fei are husband and wife. Can this kind of thing be said in public? Bai Ling's face gradually turned cold. Who said it? Bai Ling cleared her already hoarse throat and looked coldly at the crowd. This is a matter between husband and wife, there's no such thing as unwillingness or unwillingness. That's right, mind your own business. Do you think Miss Bai's appearance is unwilling? I can't say they're just a little romance between husband and wife. Everyone's chatter became more convenient. This matter is not worth mentioning. Although there are several masters in charge of the courtyard, they can't even manage Bai Ling's head. Bai Ling is the director of the Public Security Bureau. How dare you manage the affairs of the director of a street office, a small servant who doesn't even have an official? We won't have to worry about the affairs between our husband and wife anymore. Let's just let everyone go. Just as Bai Ling spoke, Shen Fei walked out wearing an apron. They're all idle, aren't they? They're still gathering at my doorstep. Isn't it just that we argued a bit at night? What a big deal, you're still surrounded by his doorstep and not leaving. Spreading these beasts on the street is like hitting a big luck. Shen Fei, look at what you've done to Miss Bai. I can't even walk smoothly anymore. What a great wife. You don't cherish her, you're not even as good as a beast. If this were my daughter.In.Law, please take good care of her. Look at what you guys did last night. The birds in the courtyard suddenly became energized when they saw Shen Fei also coming out. Shen Fei wandered around leisurely day by day, not even doing anything serious, and I don't know how Bai Ling fell in love with this street wanderer. However, in front of Bai Ling, they couldn't say anything else. You guys manage things quite leniently. How about we also take out our family's money for you to manage? Shen Fei sneered, let's make a fuss, he's not afraid of making a fuss. The commotion escalated and they happened to divorce Bai Ling. Others are curious about Bai Ling, but they have never been with her before. He is not curious. He, who is in the 21st century, has never experienced this kind of bird-like aura. The predecessor in his memory made him really infuriating. Absolutely not even the dignity of a man. How can this work? Predecessor, rest assured. Let's give you some support. Tell me what's wrong with you. Tell me you're doing it for your own good. Look at you, you don't even have a job. If it weren't for Bai Ling raising you, I think you would be starving to death. That's right, third master is right. Shen Fei is really not something. Vampire, yes. Shen Fei is just a vampire. Shen Fei, you said you're a young man. Why don't you go out and do something? You insist on staying at home and waiting to die. The birds of the quadrangle courtyard started talking with each word you said. You all stop and let me, this old lady, say a few words. The deaf old lady walked out trembling. I said Xiaoe, you should also go out and find a job. It's not a problem to always do odd jobs and let others take care of you. The deaf old lady finished speaking in one breath before taking a breath. I respect you, old lady, but others. Hee, what do I do is my own business, what's your concern? Shen Fei respectfully replied to the old lady. After all, blaming the deaf old lady is really too risky. If the old lady can't make it through and hang up, then he will be in big trouble. But for others, madam, you're right. I'll help Shen Fei see what suitable jobs are available later. Bai Ling frowned and responded. This deaf old lady is too lenient in her management, isn't she? Although Shen Fei said he didn't have a job, in fact, his family's expenses have almost been borne by him in recent years. As long as they can make money. As long as there is no violation of the law, even Bai Ling cannot control her. The old lady is right, and Miss Bai is also right. Shen Fei, it's time for you to find a stable job. What's the point of wandering around the streets in the 49 cities day by day? That's right, it's not as good as others silly pillars and Su Damao. They are at least formal workers in the steel rolling mill. Shen Fei, why don't you marry a good wife? You're not even AP. Everyone in the courtyard, every word you say makes me more and more excited. I wish I could immediately replace Shen Fei and stand beside Bai Ling to bear the anger of the entire courtyard. Today, it is necessary to make Bai Ling regret her original choice. Marrying a street wanderer has no future. Alright. Bai Ling's face is getting worse and worse. This group of people is simply lawless. What qualifications do others have to say about Shen Fei? Besides this matter, these few years have been the most comfortable for Bai Ling. She doesn't have to worry about anything at home, she just needs to wholeheartedly do the work she likes. There is one house in the entire quadrangle, which one can make her so worry-free. I'm willing to do something. You guys bite me. Shen Fei was infuriated and laughed at by these beasts. Speaking so passionately, even he felt like he wasn't something. But what are these beasts? A guy who spends his days trying to take advantage of others, who has the right to call him Shen Fei? Did he steal something or rob someone? Why are you all involved in our family affairs? Are you my dad or my mom? Isn't that just a joke? Shen Fei cursed back at the birds. Do you really think Shen Fei was made of mud? If it weren't for the deaf old lady, it would be over whether he did it or not. Take this group of people and try out their newly acquired skills. How are you talking? That's it. If you don't know how to say it, don't say it. You're spouting feces all over your mouth. How could such a person match up with Miss Bai? It's really insulting and refined. The birds in the courtyard were bewildered by the sudden counterattack. In the past, Shen Fei was nothing but a bad person who would silently walk away. Why did you still learn to curse today? This will make all the birds unable to be sorted out. However, the birds also quickly dispersed. No one dares to bear the consequences of angering honest people. I have something else to do, let's go first. Before Shen Fei could react, Bai Ling was like a frightened rabbit, limping towards the courtyard door. Today's performance of Shen Fei is indeed different from before, which has left Bai Ling with a sense of unease. Hey! Shen Fei didn't get angry when he saw Bai Ling walking away without looking back. Anyway, this marriage, he's divorced. My little brother endured it for 3 years, and I ate meat yesterday, so I'm not at a loss, right? After clearing up his mood, Shen Fei returns to the kitchen to continue cooking congee. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 004, Bai Ling's old lover Zheng Chaoyang comes knocking on your door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why did Bai Ling leave? I haven't figured out the divorce yet. It doesn't matter if you don't nag, it's better to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. It's really not possible, there's also leader Bai Ling. After finishing his meal and tidying up his home, Shen Fei finally picked up the tattered medical book and quietly started reading it. Shen Fei searched for this medical book from his predecessor's memory. Although it's the kind of bad street, I can't even see the most basic diseases. But it can enable Shen Fei to accurately locate every bone in the human body. When he was reading, he even had a sudden enlightenment. Is this the benefit of traveling? After reading, he was able to recall every detail. Never forget it. Even with top-notch reading comprehension. This even gave Shen Fei a feeling of wanting to go to the library. Even if this book doesn't bring anything to Shen Fei, what about the library? The collection of books in the library covers a wide range, and the more I think about Shen Fei, the more I feel that there is great potential. Bang bang bang, is this Bai Ling's house? Just as Shen Fei was excitedly preparing to pack up, the door was knocked on. There are also many people who come to find Bai Ling on a regular basis, and Shen Fei, as the director's husband, naturally knows how to deal with it. Bai Ling is back at work. If you have something to do, go to the Public Security Bureau to find her. As soon as Shen Fei opened the door, he saw a man in uniform standing in front of the door, holding a gift in his hand. The pupils shrink, isn't this Zheng Chaoyang? Have you all found your home? I am her old colleague, are you Bai Ling's husband? I didn't agree with Bai Ling yesterday, but today I will come home as a guest. But today he came, but Bai Ling went to work. This made Zheng Chaoyang feel embarrassed and unsure of what topics to look for. Come in first, just take the gifts with you later. We don't accept gifts at home. Shen Fei didn't embarrass Zheng Chaoyang, but his tone was a bit cold. After all, it's impossible to be neighbors again in the future. This is a little gadget I bought in Shanghai, it's not worth any money. Zheng Chaoyang explained awkwardly. After entering the door, I finally looked around. A house from the 1950s cannot be said to have any decoration, it can only be said that the house is clean and rainproof, making it a good house. There was no good communication between rival lovers, just a few cold chats before Zheng Chaoyang stood up and said goodbye. Shen Fei didn't pay much attention to the gift given by Zheng Chaoyang. Visiting Director Bai. Jia Zhang and several old ladies sat in the courtyard, chatting while basking in the sun. After seeing Zheng Chaoyang come out of Bai Ling's house, jealous eyes were about to burst into flames. Why can Shen Fei not work and still live a fulfilling life? It's just these gift givers running to Bai Ling's house all day long. Who knows how much benefit Shen Fei has gained from it? If Bai Ling were her daughter.In.Law, would she still be stingy and searching for those 2 pension funds? Damn Shen Fei, I don't know how much benefit he has gained from this person. Zheng Chaoyang nodded confidently and acknowledged. After all, is it necessary to visit old colleagues the same way as when they were lurking before? If he dare not even admit this, then he can just go to the unit to find Bai Ling. Why bother coming? Let me tell you, Bai Ling's husband is a famous street wanderer in our area. Jia Zhang leaned over to Zheng Chaoyang and muttered a few words in a low voice. If you're looking for Director Bai to handle things, you'll have to take advantage of Director Bai's home. I think Shen Fei is also quite good at speaking. Zheng Chaoyang couldn't help but become interested in Shen Fei as he listened to Jia Zhang's words. I didn't expect this guy to dare to use Bai Ling's name to act recklessly in the courtyard. Is it black under the light? Zheng Chaoyang's years of undercover experience instantly reminded him of many things. After these thoughts emerged, his trust in Bai Ling was rejected one by one. Based on Zheng Chaoyang's understanding of Bai Ling, he still chose to believe in Bai Ling's perspective. That's what you don't know. Jia Zhang's eyes showed a hint of jealousy, no matter what the person in front of her wanted to do, she would stir up trouble. Who made the whole hospital work hard? It's Shen Fei, a street wanderer, who spends his days at home and lives a better life than them. Can this be tolerated? Then I'll turn around and react with Director Bai. Zheng Chaoyang listened to those empty stories and nodded in a solemn tone. They are police officers, and their most important thing is to seek truth from facts. These hearsay messages cannot be said to be useless, but can only be used as a reference. Since these aunties all have a bad evaluation of Shen Fei, Zheng Chaoyang also plans to talk to Bai Ling. The masses who do not understand the truth are naturally too lazy to explain and refute. Since he entered Bai Ling's house, he has been observing Shen Fei. Shen Fei gave him a pretty good feeling. Although I accepted his gift, I also confirmed his information before accepting it. Overall, he is still a relatively cautious person. I just don't know if I can hold on in the future. You should know that the beginning of corruption often starts with family members. Don't mention it to Director Bai. Just pay more attention to Shen Fei and don't let him fall for it. It won't even cause trouble for Director Bai. Jia Zhangshi was a bit flustered when Zheng Chaoyang said so. She just can't stand Shen Fei. As for Bai Ling, she is the largest official in their entire courtyard. Chewing the root of a person's tongue is not such a way of chewing. Angered Bai Ling, they won't have any more convenience in the future. Last time Su Damao and Silly Zhu fought, it was Bai Ling who suppressed them. If it weren't for Bai Ling's action, silly Zhu and Su Damao would have been fired by the steel rolling mill. Bai Ling treated the people in the courtyard very well. If I had nothing to do, it would be even better if I could give them something delicious. Okay, I'll pay more attention. By the way, what's your name? Zheng Chaoyang did not refute this and, after all, she is a warm-hearted masses. Isn't there a sunrise crowd in later generations? They have many big and important cases, all of which are clues obtained from the people. We cannot take it too seriously, nor can we neglect it. Jia Zhang. Jia Zhang originally intended to say the name of second aunt, but now she is too embarrassed to say it in front of others. Besides, she also lives in a courtyard house. If someone comes to find her, they will definitely be able to find her. Why say a fake name? Besides, if we get it and really need to come down to investigate, that would be great. If Shen Fei hadn't accepted the bribe, she would have eaten the sole of her shoes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to explain at all. Shen Fei has no job and can still live such a fulfilling life. Unfair. It's really unfair. Zheng Chaoyang, haven't you left yet? Just as Zheng Chaoyang and Jia Zhang were whispering, Shen Fei also packed his things and walked out. Seeing them gathered together, I couldn't help but frown. Jia Zhang's 4 courtyard aunties really don't make people worry. I don't know what to arrange behind his back. But for Shen Fei, these actually don't matter. In the past few years, he has been with Bai Ling and can be said to be trembling and afraid to take any action. P.S. 100 fresh flowers with updates, 30 review tickets, flowers for collection. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 005, Shen Fei went to the Public Security Bureau to find Bai Ling, who is. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you going out? Where are you going? I'll see you off. Zheng Chaoyang turned around and smiled at Shen Fei, but he didn't pay much attention to Jia Zhang's words. After all, the Public Security Bureau receives countless reports every day. Besides, investigating corruption is not his responsibility either. I'll go to the bookstore, return the book, and borrow another one. I'll be out for a walk, so you don't need to deliver it. Shen Fei raised the book in his hand, and since he had no ghosts, he was too lazy to entangle with Shen Fei. After all, they are rivals in love, and Shen Fei still doesn't want to get too close to Zheng Chaoyang. After getting divorced from Bai Ling, there will be no more interaction. I happen to be going to the bureau too, let's go together. Although Zheng Chaoyang was not affected by Jia Zhang's words, he still wanted to observe again. No wind, no waves. Whether it's jealousy from others or the truth, Zheng Chaoyang thinks that Shen Fei is not that simple. Okay, I'm also free. Shen Fei rolled his eyes, but he didn't refuse either. After all, he is an old friend of his wife Bai Ling, so naturally he is not so easy to refuse. As for divorce in the future, let's talk about it separately. Just after Shen Fei and Zheng Chaoyang were discharged from the hospital, the group of aunties in the courtyard suddenly exploded. What? You said Zheng Chaoyang came to find Bai Ju. The 3 mothers looked at Jia Zhang in surprise. The other aunties in the courtyard didn't have much better expressions either. When Bai Ling moved into the courtyard, she was not married yet. Listen to me, just now I felt that guy looked a bit familiar, so I got closer and took a look. I didn't expect it to really be Zheng Chaoyang. They got together before Miss Bai married Shen Fei. At that time, when I was still working. Jia Zhang couldn't help but recall the years and she worked before. So. Zheng Chaoyang is back, I'm afraid Shen Fei will be kicked by Miss Bai. Jia Zhang looked at the people around her who were startled by her with a proud expression on her face, and her whole body felt elevated. Shen Fei, who has made her jealous for several years, how proud you are this time. Without Bai Ling's support, how can you stay at home and work honestly like them in the future? Just as Jia Zhang was saying that Shen Fei was about to be kicked by Bai Ling limped to the Public Security Bureau. Damn Shen Fei, last night was so rude. Let her be completely wrong today. Early start. I came a bit late today, why are you feeling unwell? Lao Duo looked up and saw that Bai Ling's face was a bit off color. They are also old comrades who have been partners for many years, and duo men can tell at a glance that Bai Ling has something on her mind. In addition, Zheng Chaoyang has recently arrived in the 49 cities I sighed in my heart, but it was just a concern. Well, I'm not feeling well today. I'll ask you to take a leave today if you take more dim sum. Bai Ling didn't think much, just gave a simple explanation and prepared to return to the courtyard. After she escaped, she remembered that Zheng Chaoyang was going to her house today. But before she could figure out how to tell Shen Fei, she went to the Public Security Bureau. But she was also afraid that something might happen to Shen Fei and Zheng Chaoyang at home. Of course, if she goes back and Zheng Chaoyang hasn't come yet, that would be even better. They went out together. She is the director of the Public Security Bureau. Who in the courtyard dares to chew on her tongue? As soon as she thought of this, Bai Ling didn't hesitate. I just said, Bai Ling, you workaholic. You even invited me to your house as a guest. Look, you forgot, right? As soon as Bai Ling walked out of the Public Security Bureau, she collided head-on with Zheng Chaoyang. Well, I'm sorry. I really forgot. I just asked Lao Duo for a leave and asked him to fuck more dim sum. Listen to Zheng Chaoyang, have you been to her house? I was slightly surprised in my heart, but I didn't show any surprised expression. Instead, I smiled. Since you have arrived at the unit, please wait for me a moment and I will go find Lao Duo. I arrived in 49 cities yesterday and haven't reported to my workplace yet. Since you're here, then go find Lao Duo and report it. Anyway, it won't take much time, after all, it's already here. I'm sorry not to go see my old colleagues. Okay, then I'll wait for you. Bai Ling smiled slightly and responded. Looking at Zheng Chaoyang's back, my heart became worried. Even Shen Fei knows Zheng Chaoyang. Zheng Chaoyang even went to her house today. They won't argue anymore, will they? According to Shen Fei's performance this morning, he shouldn't be able to coexist peacefully, right? Can we apologize to Zheng Chaoyang later on behalf of Shen Fei? I'm here, Lao Duo. Zheng Chaoyang knocked on the door of the Deputy Bureau office and leaned against it with a smile. Lao Zheng, why are you here now? If Bai Ling hadn't left a few minutes earlier. Multiple doors were processing files, and as soon as they looked up, they saw Zheng Chaoyang. Apart from being happy, there was also a hint of surprise in their hearts. What happened today? Just as Bai Ling took a leave, Zheng Chaoyang came. Is this an appointment to go out together? For his mission, many people didn't ask much, after all, they are all old spies. There are some things that are difficult to say once you ask. Anyway, the superiors are just cooperating with their group of directors and deputy bureaus. Why do they ask multiple questions? I've met Bai Ling. For this old colleague, Zheng Chaoyang didn't think much and just blurted it out. Anyway, when they are together, they are just reminiscing about the turbulent past. There's nothing shameful about it. It's okay to let old colleagues know. After a brief handover with multiple departments, Zheng Chaoyang quickly went to find Bai Ling. Zheng Chaoyang, who used to wait for girls for so long, may not have cared, but after staying in the Magic City for so long, he also learned something. After seeing off Zheng Chaoyang, duo men continued to work. As for what happened between Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang, he was too lazy to care. After all, Bai Ling has already married someone, even though she has not been taken back to the Public Security Bureau. But I also met her once when she got married. Well, that's a pretty good guy who deserves to be a flower of their Public Security Bureau. Duo Men stood by the window with a headache, looking at his busy colleagues and sighing. Although the entire 49 cities may seem lively and bustling, who would have thought of any undercurrents beneath the calm waters? Otherwise, can we have Zheng Chaoyang, an old expert, specifically transferred back from above? Bang bang bang, multiple rounds, Bai Ju's husband is here. Bai Ju is not in the game, I can only come and find you. A small police officer stood at the entrance of the sub-bureau, knocked on the wide-open door, and reminded him of multiple doors. That's when Shen Fei came to the Public Security Bureau. The entire bureau is also very curious about this director's husband. They have been married by Director Bai for several years, but they haven't brought Shen Fei back. This time they came by themselves, and only a few people can treat the uncle in the bureau well. Okay, I got it. Dorman suddenly felt numb all over. What kind of ghost did you see today? Bai Ling, then Zheng Chaoyang, now it's Shen Fei again. Why has everything piled up until today? P.S. The update has been updated. Fresh flowers are worth more than 100 yuan, and reviews are worth more than 30 yuan. If anyone wants to collect fresh flowers, is there anyone watching? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 006, Bai Ling meets Zheng Chaoyang again and must divorce. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Bookstores in the 1950s did not compare to libraries in later generations, as Shen Fei had imagined. Even many bookstores only sell or rent literacy books. This also made Shen Fei lose the idea of continuing to read in this area. If there is a chance in the future, it's better to go and take a look at the library in the city center. However, since he has come out, he also wants to talk to Bai Ling about divorce again. After all, he came out of the last bookstore, right next to the Public Security Bureau. After arriving at the Public Security Bureau, I was told that Bai Ling was not in the bureau today. Is this still his wife who only loves work? Busy with work. Hee hee. What a ridiculous excuse. The excuse that made his predecessor foolishly believe for 3 years was exposed during Shen Fei's first, post-inspection. Since Bai Ling cannot be found today, tomorrow is the last working day and we must divorce. He doesn't want to talk to Bai Ling anymore. If she is still working at the company, then Shen Fei will just have a good conversation. It's best if she can make sense, but if she can't make sense, then she can make do with it. As long as Bai Ling doesn't hinder him from finding other women. But now Shen Fei has lost his mood. Shen Fei, is this still your first time at the police station? As soon as Duo Men entered, he warmly grasped Shen Fei's hand. This is still their uncle's first time coming to the Public Security Bureau. Bai Ling asked for leave, it's really not the right time. He doesn't know how to explain later. Well, the first time I came to the Public Security Bureau for a job inspection, my wife was not at work. Shen Fei smiled, seeing that Bai Ling was not very pleased with her, and naturally did not treat her comrades very politely. Is there anything you're here for, Shen Fei? Don't worry, I'm sure I can help you handle it properly. Upon hearing Shen Fei's words, Duo Men felt secretly unhappy, but they still smiled and fought with Shen Fei. After all, their daughter-in-law comes here to work, and the man doesn't know how to take leave. What is this? Don't think too much, you know. But Bai Ling has been her comrade in arms for many years, and if she is unhappy, she has to endure it. Hey. It's really difficult for me to do multiple things. He said how restless he was today, he was waiting here. I'm here, forget it. Since Bai Ling is not here, I have nothing to do. I just passed by the Public Security Bureau and came up to see my wife. Is there anything she needs? Since there is no intersection of interests, Shen Fei also does not want multiple factions to come down. This Bai Ling. Since I can put down my work and go out on a date with Zheng Chaoyang, then divorce shouldn't be too difficult, right? Ah yes, Bai Ju said he had something to do and asked me for a leave. Duo men breathed a sigh of relief when they heard that Shen Fei was okay. When Shen Fei asked his wife in a fierce manner just now, duo men instinctively seemed to be using something else to evade him. The words that could be said startled many of them, fearing that Shen Fei would make any difficult demands. After all, it's hard for him to refuse even if he's full of words. Besides, when it comes to the couple's affairs, duo men don't want to participate too much. Did you go out with Zheng Chaoyang? Shen Fei's face showed a hint of playfulness. Zheng Chaoyang went to Bai Ling's house shortly after he left. After delivering a piece of Shen Fei, Zheng Chaoyang couldn't wait to leave. This is not looking for Bai Ling. What is it? But Shen Fei didn't initially think of this layer, and now he's just here to confirm. If he were in the bureau, it would be difficult for Shen Fei to say anything. After all, as a chief, it's difficult for Shen Fei to say anything when he meets colleagues in the bureau. But now the two have gone out. That would be some fun. I don't know about that anymore. After Bai Ju left, Lao Zheng came over. Duo men really doesn't want to get involved in their affairs. But that's exactly how this happened, and he has nothing to hide. There are so many people in and out of the Public Security Bureau that anyone can ask clearly. Why should he lie? However, duo men still feel that it is a bit inappropriate for Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang to come to the bureau before and after. It can even be said that Bai Ling got married, but now she's going out alone with someone outside of her husband, which is a bit excessive. If his own wife does this, there's no need to think of getting a big mouth and getting stuck. After chatting with several others, Shen Fei said goodbye. Bai Ling is not at the Public Security Bureau, so what is he doing here? After Shen Fei left, duo men quickly found a small police officer to search for Bai Ling in all 4 or 9 cities. He must communicate with Bai Ling in advance about this matter. Otherwise, he would be the one who creates conflicts. After leaving the Public Security Bureau, Shen Fei walked aimlessly on the street, slowly planning for one's future. After waking up the system yesterday, except for the reward from Bai Ling, there was no other movement in the system. However, the memory issue surprised Shen Fei. Only by constantly expanding oneself and becoming stronger is the capital to survive in this world of integrated film and television. While Shen Fei was strolling, Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang sat in a remote small restaurant, speechless. When Zheng Chaoyang got off the car yesterday, they met once, but they never had a good conversation. Now sitting together, I don't know how to speak. Moreover, yesterday Bai Ling had another major upheaval, leaving her own innocence for so many years, gone. She really doesn't know what to say now. How have you been these years? After a moment of silence, Zheng Chaoyang finally spoke up and asked, breaking the awkward atmosphere. Zheng Chaoyang has some regrets. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have made an appointment alone. I'm doing pretty well, marrying someone who treats me well. Bai Ling gave a somewhat mechanical answer. She really didn't know how to say Shen Fei now. Before, Shen Fei was indeed obedient to her, but yesterday when she found out Zheng Chaoyang had arrived, her life underwent earth-shattering changes. She doesn't know what to say either. By the way, when I arrived at your house today, I heard some negative comments about Shen Fei. Zheng Chaoyang thought for a moment, but still spoke Jia Zhang's words in a more gentle way. Defamation, how could Shen Fei have done these things yesterday? Upon hearing Zheng Chaoyang's report, Bai Ling immediately became angry. Why is Jia Zhang so disgusting? Can she not know what Shen Fei is like? How could I possibly help someone with something? If he did this, how could there be nothing to ask her for after all these years? How could it be that I haven't been to the Public Security Bureau for over 3 years? Why does he help people with things? Even if he really helps others, it's still Shen Fei relying on his own abilities. He has never taken any advantage of Bai Ling. Zheng Chaoyang looked at Bai Ling's reaction and breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. The so-called reports and evidence are most likely fabricated. However, Zheng Chaoyang did not completely rest assured. After all, the darkness under the lamp was also a common trick for these old tricks. What if Bai Ling was caught? P.S. The update has been updated, with 100 fresh flowers and 30 review votes and updates. With the support of some data, is there anyone watching it? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 007, Bai Ling explains that she doesn't want a divorce. Seeking freshness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What would you like to eat? Zheng Chaoyang and Bai Ling chatted for a while, and as soon as it was almost noon, they quickly asked. From his perspective, it can be seen that during the years that Bai Ling and he have been separated from, they have basically focused on their work. Although she said that Shen Fei was good to her, from this morning's state, it seems that Bai Ling's life is not as good as she said. Perhaps Zheng Chaoyang thought too much of himself, but is it really an illusion? Zheng Chaoyang felt like he was trapped in a thinking black hole, which made him unable to resist wanting to understand what kind of person Shen Fei was. I won't eat any more. Shen Fei is still waiting for me at home. After a moment of silence, Bai Ling finally said a sentence. Dating Zheng Chaoyang recklessly has already made Bai Ling feel a bit embarrassed. Moreover, although this location may seem remote, it is actually not far from the Public Security Bureau and home. Bai Ling doesn't want Shen Fei to misunderstand again. However, after Zheng Chaoyang returned this time, it seemed that they wanted her to cooperate with him in doing some work. This made Bai Ling somewhat happy, but also somewhat difficult to accept. If it weren't for what happened last night, she wouldn't have had the current complex emotions. But since some things have happened, she cannot pretend that nothing has happened. Okay, I'll talk to you about some work matters at the bureau this afternoon. Then I'll take you back. Zheng Chaoyang remained silent for a while before responding with a sentence. As for the agreement between them yesterday, let it be. After all, Zheng Chaoyang also went to their house today, and it was not suitable to go there again. Zheng Chaoyang stood up, picked up the coat beside him, and prepared to put it on Bai Ling, who was wearing a relatively thin outfit. No need. Bai Ling's pupils narrowed, she quickly refused, turned around, and went out to chase Shen Fei. I didn't even take the bag or clothes left aside. Just as Shen Fei was strolling around, he looked up and saw Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang sitting together in the small shop. Coincidentally met the gaze of Bai Ling. With a cold snort, turn around and leave. Now that he has a handle, what reason does Bai Ling have not to divorce him? Shen Fei. Shen Fei. Wait for me. As Bai Ling ran, she hurriedly shouted at Shen Fei twice. Zheng Chaoyang was chasing Bai Ling's figure behind him with her belongings. Shen Fei didn't really turn around and leave. It wasn't him who made a mistake. Why did he leave? Is it just to make room for Bai Ling? What's going on? Shen Fei turned around and looked sharply at Bai Ling. Humph. What are you still installing here? I caught me dating Zheng Chaoyang. Are the two of them meeting separately in a small restaurant? Are you still using me to say something? Breath, Shen Fei, listen to me, it's not what you think. Bai Ling took the initiative to grab Shen Fei's arm for the first time. Well, Bai Ling, your clothes and bag. Since your husband has come over, I won't send you off. Let's discuss the specific situation at the bureau this afternoon. Zheng Chaoyang also saw the subtle atmosphere between the two and felt a bit uneasy. Although he really wants to do something, after all, he's the only couple. It's better not to participate in some things. Okay, you go ahead. Bai Ling perfunctorily replied, her current thoughts are all on Shen Fei. Let's go. Where are we going? Zheng Chaoyang, why don't we sit down together and chat? Shen Fei ignored Bai Ling's pleading gaze and spoke in a cold tone. He actually wants to speak up directly in front of these two people. After all, after Bai Ling and he divorced, it was also Zheng Chaoyang who took over. Well, he can also be considered a party involved. No need. Bai Ling's eyes were a bit flustered, but her tone remained firm as she responded, if something happens, let's talk to the sea lion at home. Zheng Chaoyang is an outsider. Ah, outsiders. Shen Fei looked at Bai Ling with a disdainful expression, and then he knew that Zheng Chaoyang was an outsider. But he didn't hesitate whether to call Zheng Chaoyang or not, and turned around and left. Zheng Chaoyang stood there with an awkward expression on his face, somewhat wanting to follow up and see what had happened between them. I heard Bai Ling's resolute tone and hesitated a bit. After all, the relationship between him and Bai Ling is not as close as he is. See you at work this afternoon. Bai Ling followed behind Shen Fei with a limp, as if she had made some decision, and turned to Zheng Chaoyang and said. Shen Fei, listen to me, I really didn't have anything to do with Zheng Chaoyang. As soon as she returned home, Bai Ling spoke to Shen Fei with some urgency. She knew her explanation seemed a bit pale and powerless, but she still felt so aggrieved. I went to your unit this morning, and your director said, you took a day off today. The result is that you are with Zheng Chaoyang, right? Shen Fei actually knew that there was nothing between Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang, otherwise this morning it would have been more than just talking. But Bai Ling's heart is not here. What does she want with this body? Is it just quenching thirst? Besides, Shen Fei is actually quite annoyed now. After the system gave the reward, it felt like death. This is also something he has been puzzled about. In theory, he has already completed the task given to him by the system. Besides the reward, shouldn't he also be given some other feedback? But he tried all the methods he could experiment with from last night to this morning. There is no response from the system. This made him think of Bai Ling, either completely severing ties with her, marrying another wife, and trying again. With his current conditions, as long as the woman's family is not too extreme, he can accept it. Either, Bai Ling must be completely devoted. But Shen Fei instinctively refused this path. Leaving aside the shared experiences of Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang in the original drama, they are the memories of the years when their predecessor and Bai Ling were together. It also made Shen Fei understand that if he didn't like it, he didn't like it. Even if he said it well, his body was honest. During the first intimate encounter with Bai Ling yesterday, Shen Fei could feel Bai Ling's disgust and resistance. This is one of the reasons why he continued to speak out about his divorce this morning. You know, I'm not feeling well, I just happened to bump into Zheng Chaoyang. Bai Ling saw that Shen Fei had nothing else to do, so she took off her coat with confidence, hung it on the wall, and sat next to Shen Fei. But when I saw the gift on the table, I also felt a hint of unease. Coincidentally met. Didn't you invite someone over to your house? Shen Fei's mouth showed a hint of mockery, and Zheng Chaoyang had already found his home. What else is there to say about this? Anyway, the situation is already like this, and seeing is believing. What else is there for Bai Ling to argue with? For a woman who only treats herself as a nanny, Shen Fei really doesn't have a good impression of her. Why didn't I make room for you and you went out on a date? P.S. It's time to add more. Please click on this review ticket. If it exceeds 30 review tickets, continue to add more. If it exceeds 2,000 flowers, continue to add more. With the support of the data, please click on it. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 008, does Bai Ling take the initiative to cook and want to save it? Roundhouse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No, it's not. Shen Fei. Listen to me, husband. Bai Ling is really numb now. She never expected that Shen Fei would think so. But now what should she do? Shen Fei seems to have made up his mind to divorce now. She really has no way out. After all, family matters don't matter if you are the director of the Public Security Bureau. But besides cooking a can of beef for Zheng Chaoyang, she really hasn't done anything. But what can be said to make Shen Fei believe? Bai Ling is really having a headache now. It's really not what you think. I originally wanted to come back. When I left the Public Security Bureau, I just happened to meet Zheng Chaoyang, and I was already preparing to come back. Oh, forget it, I've thought about it for a while. Actually, it's good for you to divorce me. You don't have to be angry with me here. Shen Fei looked serious and Bai Ling began to discuss. After all, it's already great that someone who is a Grand Director of the Public Security Bureau can explain to you. As for this explanation, Shen Fei did not insist on believing it. I disagree. Upon hearing Shen Fei's words, Bai Ling's hair exploded instantly. Shen Fei, how could you be so shameless? Do you want to run after eating dry and wiping clean? What kind of person did you treat Bai Ling as? Moreover, for so many years, she has been able to work safely at the Public Security Bureau, and it is also inseparable from Shen Fei's support. But what's going on now? Bai Ling really can't figure it out, isn't she just an old friend? As for Shen Fei, is that so much of a concern? Disagree. What qualifications do you have to say disagree? Shen Fei's face suddenly turned cold. I originally only wanted to break up peacefully with Bai Ling, and no one needed to make an unpleasant scene. But such simple ideas were repeatedly rejected by Bai Ling. This also gave Shen Fei a hint of anger. I've been married to you for 3 years, haven't we? Have you ever made me food once? Have you ever let me hold hands once? As soon as Zheng Chaoyang comes back, you stay up late to make stewed beef. I've been doing this for 3 years and I still don't know you can cook. Since you want to spend time with Zheng Chaoyang, then go ahead. I've even initiated divorce, don't be shameless. Shen Fei spoke out his grievances in one breath. At the moment Shen Fei spoke, the discomfort in his heart disappeared completely, and his soul seemed to fit more closely with his body. Even the Wing Chun boxing that received the reward last night seems to have some signs of progress. It seems that my predecessor was really infuriated by this incident, right? Husband, listen to me. It's not what you think. I admit it was because of my momentary fever and I shouldn't have done those absurd things. Bai Ling explained with some urgency, she really didn't expect that staying up late to cook beef would have such a big impact on Shen Fei. But she has really been too busy these years. I go out early and return late every day, and sometimes I even come back in the middle of the night. If it weren't for Shen Fei constantly guarding her, she really wouldn't know how to hold on. I was wrong. If you want to eat in the future, I'll make it for you. Bai Ling immediately realized that what Shen Fei said was all facts. She did overlook Shen Fei's feelings over the years, but it's not her fault. Shen Fei had never said anything, which made Bai Ling slowly accept it with peace of mind. But she knew that if she didn't handle it properly this time, Shen Fei might really have to leave her. Zheng Chaoyang and she are both workaholics. If the two really start a family, it's just a house. Bai Ling's thoughts drifted further and further away, making Shen Fei, who had been waiting for the following text, feel a bit impatient. Forget it, I can't afford the meal of the Grand Director. Shen Fei sneered. In 3 years, there are countless opportunities to showcase her culinary skills. But Bai Ling had no consciousness at all. Now she said she wanted to do it for him. Why did she go earlier? People. Sure enough, it's still cheap. How did you talk? Don't do anything this afternoon, I'll do it. Bai Ling's thoughts were interrupted by Shen Fei and she rolled her eyes at him. They sat down together, covering their stomachs, with cold sweat covering their foreheads and a hint of pain on their faces. She was injured last night, and today she walked so far again. She even ran a meal in pain just now, and most importantly, she didn't wear a coat. She, who hasn't been sick for so many years, feels like she's fallen this time. If I had known this morning, I might as well not have escaped. Although Shen Fei would still propose a divorce to her, there was no misunderstanding just now, and she would be much more relaxed if she wanted to explain it. What are you doing? Look at your embarrassing appearance, what are you doing? What else does this stupid woman want to do after all this? Besides, does Shen Fei dare to eat the food she cooked? Aren't you afraid to say something, big man, take your medicine? However, Shen Fei didn't feel like cooking today, so he left a word to wait and got up to go out. Just as Bai Ling was secretly wiping away her tears, a head quietly popped out of the door, and Yi Zhonghai, an old man from the courtyard, knocked on the door. How did you come over, Grandpa? Bai Ling wiped her face before looking at Yi Zhonghai. A hint of doubt arose in my heart, as everything in the courtyard had nothing to do with their family. Apart from others being jealous of Shen Fei, there is no interaction between them. I see you've been arguing since last night until today. What happened? Can you tell me something about it? As soon as Yi Zhonghai entered the door, he saw the gift on the table, with a hint of envy in his eyes. They who live in the front yard can't resist arguing in the middle of the night, arguing in the morning, and coming back at noon still arguing. How can others still live their lives after these daily arguments? It's not a big deal, it's just that Shen Fei has been having a little tantrum with me lately. After thinking for a while, Bai Ling still didn't mention the divorce to Yi Zhonghai. In this era, divorce is a big deal for a woman. If it spreads again, it will be difficult to say in the future. Besides, Shen Fei's current attitude is not particularly resolute either. Bai Ling still wants to try again on her own and see if Shen Fei can change her mind. Okay, if there's anything you can't solve, come over and talk to an old man. Yi Zhonghai recognized the refusal in Bai Ling's tone and did not leave much. Although the foodies at the steel rolling mill are quite good, there is still a big family at home, so we have to bring food back for lunch. This is also the practice of most factory employees. Make some dry food at home, cook some vegetables in the factory, and that's all for a day's meals. Thank you, Grandpa. Bai Ling was physically inconvenient and did not send Yi Zhonghai away. After a simple apology, Yi Zhonghai left on her own. She looked at the gift on the table with a hint of complexity in her eyes. Zheng Chaoyang, a wooden person who has been in Shanghai for several years, actually learned how to give gifts. This really surprised her. At the same time as feeling a hint of sweetness in my heart, there was also a hint of guilt, as if this was really sorry for Shen Fei. P.S. The update has been updated. Is anyone watching it? Fresh flowers will continue to be updated after breaking 2000, and reviews will continue to be updated after breaking 50. Please provide some data support Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 009, Bai Ling's True Thoughts, Shen Fei intoxicated her. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Shen Fei came out, he casually bought something to eat. He still had a lot of money on him, but there were not many tickets left. But he still bought a bottle of wine, half a roasted duck, and some side dishes, just treat it as a farewell dinner. In the future, he will have no contact with Bai Ling for her old age. Today's situation is already very obvious. Bai Ling, who has never taken a leave in all these years, actually went on a date with Zheng Chaoyang today. As for whether she went to play with Zheng Chaoyang yesterday, Shen Fei doesn't know, nor does he want to know. For Shen Fei, this explanation is truly pale and powerless, unless Bai Ling is willing to live without freedom for the rest of her life under Shen Fei's gaze. Now it's just that she can't understand it herself. Once trust is lost between people, the established relationship will collapse instantly. There is not even any room for easing. Are you back? Bai Ling frowned as she looked at what Shen Fei was carrying in her hand. Shen Fei didn't drink alcohol, and her tolerance for alcohol was actually not very good. However, she didn't say much either. Now is a good time to ease the relationship, so Shen Fei can do whatever he wants. However, Zheng Chaoyang had to talk to her about work this afternoon, which made Bai Ling hesitate a bit. Well, have a good meal. Shen Fei smiled and put everything on the tray without hesitation, then placed it on the table. I didn't care about how Bai Ling was, so I poured myself a cup. Would you like some? Shen Fei looked at Bai Ling, who came down yesterday, and casually said something. Come on. Bai Ling hesitated for a moment, but immediately made up her mind to just drink. She hasn't had it before. Besides, this is at home. What if I don't go to work in the afternoon? Line. Shen Fei poured a cup for Bai Ling and silently ate it. It's not that he doesn't want to say anything, it's just that there's really nothing to say to Bai Ling right now. What's the difference between saying it or not when you start talking about divorce? Shen Fei, do you really not believe your wife? Bai Ling picked up her wine glass and took a sip, feeling suffocated. Her pale face instantly turned red. Only then did he ask Shen Fei about it. She really doesn't believe it, but Shen Fei has been together for 3 years and doesn't even have this little bit of trust. Believe it or not, it doesn't make much sense. Shen Fei ignored Bai Ling's bold way of drinking, tore off the duck leg, and took a bite of it himself. Sure enough, duck legs are still more delicious than other parts. My predecessor had never eaten roast duck like this before. Every time I ate roast duck, I would leave the best part for Bai Ling. Sometimes I even tasted it and felt satisfied. Huh, you're like this, we really can't communicate well anymore. As Bai Ling watched Shen Fei's movements, her heart tightened and she immediately felt a bit aggrieved. Duck legs have always been her right before. But now, Shen Fei actually ate it himself. Well, she only felt a little wronged and didn't feel angry. Communication. I don't think there's anything else we can communicate with each other. I've seen everything today. By the way, this is the gift from Zheng Chaoyang. You need to keep it well. Shen Fei smiled and pointed to the gift box next to him that he had never touched before. He not only came to his house today, but also chased after him to his workplace. It's not easy for him to restrain his anger now. Just throw it away, I don't want his things. Bai Ling shook her head. No matter what Zheng Chaoyang gave her, she can't accept it now. Originally, Shen Fei was going to divorce her, but what else is going on with her now? She won't be able to make ends meet in the future. Actually, when she went to bed last night, she also carefully thought about it, although she wasn't very calm at that time. But over the years, Shen Fei has indeed been the most suitable man she has ever met for living. Leaving aside the issue of her own future, even after these years, she has become accustomed to being taken care of by Shen Fei. Throw it away. Forget it, keep it. It's a rare item from the demon capital, and it's worth a lot of money in the 4 or 9 cities. Believe it or not, you'll throw it out later. It's spreading all over the courtyard at night, and Director Bai is corrupt. Shen Fei is too clear about the true face of those beasts in the courtyard. It can only be said that each bad person has its own characteristics, but as long as it doesn't provoke him, he is too lazy to bother with that group of people. As for Zheng Chaoyang's gift, it really doesn't matter to Shen Fei. Throw it away, if not, when I go to work later, throw it away. Bai Ling hesitated a bit due to Shen Fei's words, but she still spoke resolutely. She really doesn't want to be misunderstood by Shen Fei anymore. But the thought of meeting Zheng Chaoyang again in the afternoon made Bai Ling hesitate a little. Yo, didn't you say you took a leave? Why are you still working? Shen Fei was immediately amused by Bai Ling's words. He cursed at himself in secret, but Shen Fei didn't regret what he said. He has made up his mind to divorce Bai Ling. The predecessor is the predecessor, he is him. After crossing over, he has been trying his best to imitate the habits of his predecessor, but he is still afraid of being seen by Bai Ling. Especially for someone like Bai Ling who has worked as a spy, if she becomes suspicious, she can definitely see the difference between him and her predecessor. Traveling through this matter is the foundation for him to establish himself in this world, and it is impossible for him to speak to anyone. So the best way is to leave Bai Ling, leave the courtyard, and continue living in a different place. But now, after all, we cannot cross the previous comparison. Although there are trains and other things in the 49 cities of the past 5 years, it's really difficult to get out. Anything you buy requires a ticket. But what he lacks the most is tickets. My predecessor did a translation for a period of time before, and today, Shen Fei walked the streets and observed some things. It's really easy to get rich. But ticket, then it's not that easy to solve. As for relying on Bai Ling, then forget it. Bai Ling's salary and tickets have never been taken home. Who knows where she used it all? Husband, can we discuss something with you? Bai Ling poured herself another glass before cautiously opening her mouth. She only understands one thing now, which is that Shen Fei is very sensitive to her and Zheng Chaoyang's affairs. But she has never said anything about Zheng Chaoyang, so who told Shen Fei? Bai Ling is really confused now, feeling like she has a pair of invisible big hands controlling everything from behind. What's going on? Shen Fei didn't think much and casually asked a question. Bai Ling asked this question, and he could probably guess what Bai Ling was trying to say. Even if he doesn't stop Bai Ling now, she will still find an opportunity to speak up in the future. Just listen to what she says. Well, I want to know who told you about the existence of Zheng Chaoyang. Don't get angry yet. I'm afraid there's a conspiracy here. You know I'm a police officer and very sensitive to such things. Bai Ling spoke quickly and urgently, afraid that Shen Fei would lose his temper again when he heard her question. P.S. The update has been updated, with flowers exceeding 100 and reviews exceeding 30. Please provide data support. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. 010, painful Bai Ling, even if she causes trouble, she doesn't agree. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who told me? Shen Fei was taken aback by Bai Ling's question. He didn't expect Bai Ling to start from this place and immediately confused her. How do I know about Zheng Chaoyang? Nonsense, can I not know Zheng Chaoyang? That's the protagonist of a film or television drama. Can he say he has watched the play? Is this important? What you're doing can't even be tolerated by a man. Shen Fei rolled his eyes, and Bai Ling was really good at finding a point of entry. She immediately cut into Shen Fei's dead end. No matter who told Shen Fei, what Bai Ling did was just going too far. Destroyed the most basic trust between the two. Even if she wants to investigate, she has to solve it one by one. Besides, once he gets divorced, Shen Fei will really be free. Live well in this world with the identity of your predecessor. I admit that I didn't consider your feelings about this matter, but husband, can we let it go for now? Who told you is really important. Bai Ling's rosy face was a bit pale, but she continued to speak. After all, Shen Fei doesn't have any extreme reactions now. Think about it, I am a director of the Public Security Bureau, and you are my husband. How many people are staring at me, hoping that I will make a mistake? Here are not only my own colleagues, but also those undercover personnel who want me to step down. Now someone is telling you that the situation before we got married was that Zheng Chaoyang came to the 49th city with a special mission. I hope you can sabotage this mission and let me switch to Zheng Chaoyang being entangled in the matter of divorcing you. The more Bai Ling spoke, the brighter her eyes seemed to grasp the essence of the matter in an instant. Shen Fei silently listened to Bai Ling's analysis and rolled his eyes. It's not as complicated as you think. I, Shen Fei, simply want to get divorced. However, Shen Fei also recognized Bai Ling's hypothesis. If this matter really is not right. In Shen Fei's memory, he really received such a letter. It records the feelings between Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang, and even before Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang parted ways, I remember the pot of stewed beef made by Bai Ling very clearly. Someone is really staring at Bai Ling. However, there was no expression on Shen Fei's face. Husband, did you say I analyzed correctly? Currently, Zheng Chaoyang and I are only in a simple colleague relationship, and you are my husband. I, Bai Ling, will never do anything wrong to you. Bai Ling looked at Shen Fei, who was lost in thought, quickly expressed her loyalty to him, and then looked at him with an expectant expression. If Shen Fei could provide any clues to prove her speculation, that would be even better. Many people actually know about her relationship with Zheng Chaoyang. It's impossible to lock in any scope at all. It would be great if we could start from Shen Fei. However, the most important thing is that if Shen Fei accepts her statement, it is uncertain whether he can accept her request and not divorce. What you're saying is just your speculation. Do you have any evidence that someone else told me? Shen Fei didn't even answer what Bai Ling said. If Bai Ling provides evidence, Shen Fei may still believe it, but this marriage must be divorced. Even my husband has never enjoyed the food my wife cooks, but my wife cooks for others in front of me. If this is not a form of frustration, then we really need to perform a green hat to him in person. Regardless of whether others accept it or not, Shen Fei would never accept Bai Ling's statement. If swearing is truly effective, I don't know how many people will cross the thunder tribulation because of it. Husband, do you really don't believe your favorite wife anymore? Bai Ling is really going to cry now. Why is Shen Fei not dripping water now? Even before, she needed to call her husband, even just say a word, and Shen Fei would obediently listen. Bai Ling looked at Shen Fei's performance and completely realized from her heart that someone was instigating Shen Fei. Even Shen Fei saw with his own eyes today that she was designed to be with Zheng Chaoyang. Who really taught her big baby to spoil. By the way, I have put the divorce application on the street. Aren't you going out this afternoon? Tomorrow, when I pass by work, I'll handle the divorce. Shen Fei once again said something that Bai Ling couldn't accept completely. What? I disagree. Husband, let's not divorce, okay? This is something I did wrong. I promise I will never be alone with any man in the future. Bai Ling's already pale face is even worse. After all, Shen Fei actually blocked the back road from the beginning. At least this matter is no longer between the two of them. Bai Ling, let's gather and disperse easily. Isn't that good? Are you really going to make a big fuss? Shen Fei looked at Bai Ling with a hint of meaning. Although her pale expression did make people want to protect her, when Shen Fei thought of his own safety, he became very determined. Besides, the relationship between Bai Ling and Zheng Chaoyang cannot be shaken by Shen Fei, who has been a licking dog for several years. As for Bai Ling's performance now, Shen Fei really didn't take it to heart. If Bai Ling likes him, wouldn't it be 3 years without a successful marriage? Such obvious performance, my predecessor actually took it for granted. It's simply unbelievable. I don't agree with making a big fuss either. Bai Ling immediately thought of what Yi Zhonghai had just said. It seems that I have also made up my mind to ask the other people in the courtyard to help persuade Shen Fei. She really did her best. If she finds out that someone is stirring up the relationship between Shen Fei and her, then her retaliatory methods are not that straightforward. Alright, let's not talk about this matter. Let's talk about it tomorrow at the street office. Shen Fei really can't figure it out. Your true destiny is right in front of him. Don't you agree with it? What are you doing with this ink? Divorced, hello, everyone. What's wrong with this? Is it because I forcibly came last night? Please, everyone is an adult now. You are my wife. What's wrong with fulfilling your obligations? However, Shen Fei didn't think much. Since Bai Ling was not willing to divorce, he continued to use it. Anyway, he wasn't at a loss. After finishing their meal, the two parted ways unhappily. Shen Fei lay on the wooden sofa in the living room, and Bai Ling returned to the bedroom. Bai Ling was tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep. In the end, she decided to sit up and go out to find Yi Zhonghai. "Grandpa, don't you sleep at noon?" After Bai Ling arrived next door, she found that Yi Zhonghai didn't take a nap, but was playing with the chess she had obtained from somewhere unknown. "Miss Bai, why did you come?" Yi Zhonghai took off his reading glasses, put down the sandpaper in his hand, and touched the almost polished chess before looking at Bai Ling with a puzzled expression. "Isn't Bai Ling unwilling to have people join her family? How did you find it now? Can't you do it yourself?" Yi Zhonghai felt a little proud in his heart. "Aren't you the Grand Director of the Public Security Bureau? Do you also have a day when you come to me for business? P.S. The update has arrived. Is anyone watching it? Fresh flowers are worth more than 100 yuan, evaluation tickets are worth more than 30 yuan, please collect fresh flowers. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.